Hi, this is Matt Bernstein with skillhance.com, and in this lecture, we're going to talk about getting the interview. There are very few obstacles when it comes to getting amazing interview content. No method of finding content is completely simple. Otherwise, everyone would have highly successful blog by now. The main obstacle when it comes to interview content is simple: finding the interviewees and getting them to take part. Here are some strategies you can start using to get more successful at landing interesting interviewees that can attract a bigger audience. Mutually beneficial exchanges. One option is to look for people who are currently trying to promote something. One rather new option is to interview people from Kickstarter or other crowdfunding sites. These sites are designed to help people raise money from backers in order to fund a project they are working on. The success of a Kickstarter campaign is entirely dependent on the ability of the project creator to drum up support. If they don't reach the initial goal they set themselves, they don't get to keep any of the money that is raised. This means these entrepreneurs and startup companies are forever on the lookout for even the tiniest bit of exposure. What's more, Kickstarter is an inherently interesting place where lots of exciting and unusual ideas are being generated and promoted all of the time. You are almost certain to find someone related to your niche. Do you see the potential for collaboration here? You write about these projects and provide these companies with exposure that they need, and in exchange, you get a great story on your blog. What's more, those companies will likely try and promote your interview in order to gain more exposure. They'll write about it to their backers. Kickstarter lets you message anyone who has backed you. They'll post it to their social media and even link it on their website or a project site. That's a lot of great exposure with just one link. Who else might find themselves in a boat of needing the exposure and having a story to tell? Well, how about checking out some press releases from sites like PR.com? Here you can find press releases submitted by webmasters, marketers, and small businesses. The whole objective in mind is to get people like you to turn their news into a story for your website or blog. This gives them the exposure for whatever project it is that they're going to launch, and it helps them find a bigger audience. If you contact these people, then you know that A, they have some kind of story to tell, at the very least they run a business in the industry that you're interested in, and B, they're currently looking for exposure. So browse these titles, look for press releases, and then try to get in touch to get an interview. Interviewing influencers. Another strategy is to simply aim for the top, to look for big influencers who have a large audience and who people will want to hear from. This is a little bit more difficult as you're now going to get bigger fish. Luckily though, there are a few smart strategies you can use to stack the deck in your favor. The smaller influencer. One technique is to simply approach the big influencers who don't know they're big influencers. For instance, this might mean a YouTuber who has 300,000 subscribers but doesn't know that that's good. Perhaps they're not doing anything with it. Likewise, it might mean someone who has gradually built up a big following on Twitter just by being funny and witty. To them, this might just be a little bit of fun, and they have no idea there's potentially a lot of money to earn from such a big audience. These people most likely won't be divas and they won't be drowned with messages, but they will be valuable to you. You'll message them and ask for an interview, and they'll be excited that they're getting noticed and hopefully eager to respond. If you get someone just on the cusp of success, you can earn a real sweet spot. Another type of small influencer is one that is particularly valuable, is anyone who is big within their industry. If you're in a small niche like stage lighting, then you may be able to interview someone from the world more easily. They'll be big as far as your audience is concerned, but they won't be drowned with requests from every other marketer that can't get a hold of them. Networking. Another strategy is to network and use your connections to arrange a meeting with someone influential. When you meet somebody in person or get in touch via a real-life acquaintance, you'll often find that they're more likely to listen to what you have to say. So how might you network with a big blogger, author, expert, or popular marketer? One option is to go through LinkedIn. You'll be able to aim and find a mutual connection, which will give you the ability to message them directly through LinkedIn Mail. Add the Rapport app to your Gmail account and you'll be able to add anyone who emails you to LinkedIn. As a result, you'll eventually build up a large network of associates and friends. So this in turn will give you a large amount of mutual connections, potentially leading to a valuable connection that will utilize to gain big exposure. In other words, if you add enough people, eventually this will lead you to some big influencers. In fact, LinkedIn even makes it easy to see which connections are key influencers. Another way to reach bigger influencers is to do business with them, which might mean hiring their services, buying their product, or attending their live event. At this point, you simply might want to try to get an audience with them, and this means doing anything you can to get their attention. If you're paying for their service, then you'll get their attention and you'll be able to start building a relationship. Once more, you'll have done something for them, which means they'll have a natural urge of reciprocity, and that will motivate them to want to answer your message. Another way to network is by simply creating more opportunities to meet people in real life. Being on the constant lookout for people to interview. Going to networking events is something that every marketer and blogger should be doing. This can essentially lead to all kinds of amazing opportunities. Likewise, you can simply go into a local business in person and ask if they can have an interview. This is especially effective if the business is in your niche or if they're doing any type of local marketing. By the way, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. A phone call gives you a captive audience, and you'll find that it makes a much bigger impression than an email. Find the phone number of the individual that you want to interview and try calling them. You might be surprised to find they're receptive to your requests, and you can keep things brief after all. This probably beats the kind of marketing calls they're used to. Hidden gems. On the complete other end of the spectrum, another option is to interview people who aren't considered influencers at all and who aren't even well known in their field. Your job is to make them interesting. You can interview someone who has worked on a soundtrack of an indie game, or a personal trainer at the gym who is unorthodox approached, or a doctor in order to get his or her opinion on a health issue. The idea here is to simply create a unique insight to an interesting subject and then make this the calling card of your article. This means you end up doing like a title with Doctor Weighs In on X Diet. The art of the video game design, level design explained by a pro. 15 things you need to stop doing to your pets according to vets. Top mistakes of a new martial artist. An interview with a karate teacher. Here you're just trying to find an angle that you're looking for stories that other people might have missed. This way you can create something unique and therefore interesting, at the same time potentially help promote that individual's business. Build your way up. Lastly, make sure you're thinking about the long game. Don't just go after huge influencers for your first interview when you've never done an interview before, because this is a recipe for failure. Instead, focus on someone smaller and less known to begin with, and then build your way up to larger names. Look for someone at your level, and you'll both have more to gain. Once you've done a few successful interviews, you'll build a slightly bigger audience, and you'll be able to point out to the interviewee that you've interviewed this person and that your audience is this big. Each time, you'll be able to aim slightly higher, resulting in even bigger returns. Think of it as scaling up as a business. For each success you have, you can go even bigger the next time.